Hey guys, it's Gordon J. Wallace, sales rep, Remax Real Estate Center out of Cambridge, Ontario, Canada. Just spent some of my morning digging around the StatCan website, trying to figure out how the CPI or inflation percentage is only being reported at 7.7%, since that seemed pretty low to me considering what everything seems to be costing these days, even though that is the highest number it's been in quite some time. So StatsCan is the source for all of your CPI data, which is the measure of inflation. A couple different tabs I'm going to click through here, but if you just Google StatCan CPI, you'll come to this index portal where you can find all this data. Okay. So this is the latest number here. Came in at 7.7% for May. But when you look at things like housing and gas and groceries, just felt really, really low. So clicking through, I was able to find the actual items that the StatsCan uses to measure this inflation percentage. So you can see all the different types of food, the price of all these they monitor and measure over the course of the year. And I really just want to come up here and focus a little bit on shelter, okay, because this is going to be your household costs. And the interesting thing to me is that actual housing prices are not included when calculating the inflation rate. So when you look at how much housing has gone up over the last several years, that does not impact the inflation rate or CPI. Okay, rent, however, does, and as we saw after the large gain in 2016-17, rental rates really shot up the following year, 2018 and 19, and held steady and rose. So I'm somewhat expecting rental rates to go even higher, unfortunately, but only time will tell. The other thing that I thought was interesting is that mortgage interest costs are factored into the equation. And I want to zero in on that for a second, because as I was clicking through some of these pages on this site, I came across some more detailed information in terms of what were the top 5 contributors to making the inflation rate rise, as well as what were the top 5 contributors into making the inflation rate potentially go down. Okay, and obviously it's up. So the main contributors driving inflation up were gasoline, accommodation expenses, homeowner replacement costs. So that's kind of where the rise in housing prices gets factored in. But that would just be if your insurance policies get updated to include the replacement cost, is what I'm assuming. Purchase of passenger vehicles is up, and food purchased from restaurants more so than groceries. Now, the main downward contributors, you see right there, mortgage interest costs was one of the top 5 contributors keeping inflation lower. So with all the rising in interest rates that we've experienced over the last couple of weeks and predicted to happen even more in July and September, obviously if you're in a fixed rate mortgage, your rate does not change until you go to renew at the end of your term, or earlier if you choose to break. But for anybody in a variable rate mortgage, the rise in interest rates will start impacting your pocketbook now. And I don't expect this to be a downward contributor as early as next month. So what this tells me is that inflation is probably going to be worse next month, reported as being worse next month, even though the reality is I feel like it's much worse than 7.7% today. Okay. Travel tours, as companies start discounting to get you traveling post-COVID again, that's not surprising that those costs are down. The passenger vehicle registration fees, Ontario did away with the sticker renewal, so that's the bulk of that number, based on one of the other articles that I was reading on the StatCan website there. And then telephone and digital computing equipment and devices down a little bit. So just some food for thought there. I would expect that the inflation number being presented next month to be higher. Don't know if you find this interesting, but just some research that I was doing this morning. So any questions about how any of this impacts the real estate market, from rentals to purchases to refinances, Obviously, I'm not a mortgage professional, but if you need contacts redoing your mortgage, I certainly have those for you. But anything real estate related, you feel free to give me a call. Gordon J. Wallace, 226-218-0433, or homes@gowithgord.com. Thanks so much.